In this video, I'll be showing you a variety of useful commands available in DmC Devil May Cry's debug mode. To install debug mode, download the file in the description below and place it in the following path. That's it, you now have debug mode installed. A couple of notes before booting up the game. Once debug mode is installed, the following will be unlocked to you. All missions, all difficulties, all keys, Super Dante, and the Son of Sparta costume. The alternative white-haired Dante costume remains locked until you have beaten the game at least once. However, since you have all missions and difficulties unlocked, you can simply jump straight into mission 20 on human mode and beat Virgil. I tested this myself and it does in fact unlock the costume for you. To activate debug mode, press the start and select buttons on your controller at the same time. If you play on keyboard, press the escape and backspace keys. You will be greeted to three options. Resume game is self-explanatory. Jump menu allows you to jump to any area in a mission. Console commands are where the debug mode gets interesting. Here you are given a variety of new options you can utilize. These commands are organized by the following titles: Upgrades, Miscellaneous, Movement, AI, Camera, Debug, Graphics, DLC, Secret Missions, and Profiling. Now, a large part of these commands either do not work or I'm unaware of how to make them work. These commands are located in the Movement, AI, Camera, Debug, and Profiling tabs. However, I welcome you to play around with these commands and see what you can find. Let's start with the Upgrade tab. If you want to give Dante all of his moves and weapons within seconds, here's what I would do. First, go to Mission 1. Once it loads, go into the Debug menu, select Console Commands, and select the Unlock All Upgrades command. It should boot you out of the Debug menu. If you want max health and max double trigger, repeat the process by opening up the Debug menu, opening up Console Commands, and selecting the Give Health Upgrade or Give Double Trigger Upgrade commands. Unlike the Unlock All Upgrades command, when selecting these two commands, you will not be booted out of the Debug menu. Each time you press the Give Health Upgrade or Give Double Trigger Upgrade commands, you will be given one health bar or one small increase in your double trigger bar. So mash the heck out of the X button on these commands and exit the debug menu to see if you have max health and double trigger, and if not, repeat the process. Once you are done upgrading Dante, access the jump menu and select Guns. This will warp you to the part of Mission 1 where Dante gets Ebony and Ivory, which auto-saves your game. This is important because we want the game to keep all the upgrades you just received. Now, we're not done yet. We have unlocked all of Dante's moves and weapons, but the Unlock All Upgrades command does not unlock moves that can be leveled up. I'm referring to moves like Hacker Level 2, Death Coil Level 2, Aerial Rave Level 2, basically any moves that can be upgraded will not be unlocked. Pause the game and go to the main menu. Open up Debug menu again, go to the Console Commands, and select Give Max Upgrade Points. Select Bloody Palace, and go to the shop. Then proceed to use all of your upgrade points to buy the remaining upgrades. Congrats! You now have a fully upgraded Dante. I will not go over the remaining commands in the upgrade section as they simply unlock individual abilities for Dante rather than unlocking everything at once, but feel free to play with that as you will. Let's discuss some commands in Miscellaneous. Stat FPS will display the frame rate on screen. Stat Level Map will display a map of the mission you are playing on. God Mode will give you infinite health. It does not make you immune to hit stun, however. Peace will disable the enemies from attacking you, whereas War enables the enemies to attack you. One important note is if you're playing on human mode and wish to play on Dante Must Die mode, you can set this option, restart from checkpoint, and boom, you'll now be fighting in Dante Must Die mode, quote unquote. This game will save your score on the difficulty you originally selected, however. It does not count as a mission beaten on Dante Must Die mode. I'll discuss the Combat Map command later. There are only two commands in the Graphics tab, and they're pretty self-explanatory again. One toggles post-processing, the other toggles morphological anti-aliasing. If you don't know what that is, morphological anti-aliasing is a technique for minimizing the distortion artifacts when representing a high-resolution image at a lower resolution. And I definitely didn't Google search that. The Secret Missions tab lets you warp to any secret mission. Completing this mission will unlock it in the Secret Missions menu. However, you can also use the Unlock Missions command in Miscellaneous to do the same thing. In the DLC tab, the only command that I can get to work is the Bloody Palace Bosses command. Using this command will warp you to a new area that cannot be normally accessed in the main game. It functions similar to Bloody Palace. Unfortunately, you can only do 3 waves before the enemy stops spawning. My guess is that this is an area that was meant to debug Bloody Palace before releasing it as DLC. Let's go back to the command I skipped, Combat Map. If you are familiar with Sparta's Workshop in DMC 5, then you'll feel right at home here. This room was probably meant for further debugging, but for us players it's virtually a sandbox for us to practice in. Enemies can be spawned in by walking over the white light shown in front of the enemy's model. Once you walk over the white light, it will turn green, indicating the enemy has been spawned. There's also no limit to what you can spawn and how many enemies to spawn. You can even spawn multiple Virgils. You can clear all enemies by walking to the Clear All Enemies sign. There are a variety of different rooms you can teleport to of varying sizes indicated by the icon shown. Simply walk in and you'll be teleported into that room. Debug mode also provides the user with a console that can be accessed by pressing the tab or tilde key on your keyboard. This prompt will give you a lot more commands that you can use, similar to ones we have been seeing in the debug menu. This command prompt can be accessed at any place in the game. Keep in mind that these commands are not case sensitive. In other words, if a command has a mix of capital and lowercase letters, you don't have to worry about this when inputting the command into the terminal. Another helpful tip, when typing in the command, you will be given a list of commands that you can use. Scroll through all the commands with the arrow keys on the keyboard. If you find a command you want to use, press the tab key to autofill the command into your window. Might save you some time instead of typing in the full command letter for letter. Let's try some commands out. Start Combat. Start Combat will take you into the debug room. Dojo. Dojo will take you straight into training mode. Input Dojo again to go back to whatever mode you were doing. A very nice command to be able to go in and out of training mode with no loading times. AI God. AI God gives enemies infinite health. Good for practicing combos. CE. CE stands for Console Events. It's a command that has varying subcommands that you can utilize. These commands change depending on where you're located. If you're in a mission, you can use the CE command to warp to different parts of the level, similar to how you can do it in the jump menu option. Using CE in the debug room lets you spawn an enemy of your choosing. For a full list of all CE commands you can do in a given area, type list console events to see what commands you can use. You can also list all the console events by typing in list CE instead of list console events. Disable HUD. As the name implies, it disables a HUD. You can enable the HUD by inputting enable HUD. FOV. Notice how this command contains the word float. If you don't know what float means, float refers to integers or more specifically decimal numbers. The reason the word float is inside of braces is because this command requires a user input. The user, that's you, will need to pass a value into this command for it to function. This is true for all functions that hold a word inside of braces. To get this command to work, it's pretty simple. Type FOV, and then the number you want to change the FOV to. Larger numbers will zoom the camera out more, smaller numbers will do the opposite. Slow-mo. Slow-mo speeds up or slows down the game depending on the input passed. For example, inputting slow-mo 1.2 will increase the game's speed up to 20%. While FOV and slow-mo are great commands to use, there's a bit of a problem. These values get reset each time you go to the main menu. Now, you can just set the values again using the console, but there's a more efficient way to use these commands without having to access the console over and over again. I supplied a link in the description containing 2 configuration files, one that will increase the game speed using the F10 key on the keyboard, and one that hardcodes a wider field of view. This way, whenever you go to the main menu and back to a mission, you can simply press the F10 key to re-enable a 20% increase in game speed. Since the FOV is hard-coded, you don't have to worry about changing this value whatsoever. Instructions are provided with these configuration files on how to properly install them. Give. The give command gives Dante a variety of things. Things like combat upgrades, health upgrades, devil trigger upgrades, keys, and even orbs. NTKillAll. Kills all enemies on screen. RE commands. Similar to CE, RE is a command that contains a bunch of sub-commands that you can utilize. RE stands for remote events. These again vary by level. For example, you can skip the intro fight in Mission 1 without fighting any enemies by typing in the following command on screen. My favorite thing about remote events is you can spawn a variety of intro animations at will, and this can be done in any mission. Another subcommand under RE is cam. RE cam allows you to be able to change the camera's position and orientation. It's similar to the FOV command, except it contains set values that you cannot modify. Show. By inputting the word show into the console, you are given a list of graphical settings and Boolean values to determine whether or not a graphical setting is toggled on or off. Let's turn off post-processing. Simply input show post-process, and post-processing is disabled. Let's turn off motion blur. Input motion blur to disable it. Not sure if it will be noticeable in the video, but I can guarantee you will notice these changes on your own monitor. Some last notes before I end the video. As briefly mentioned with the slow-mo command, you can add any of the commands discussed to a keyboard shortcut. Navigate to the following path on screen and open default input.ini. Scroll down to the engine.player input section. Under the last binding command, copy the following on screen. I'll have this command in the description if you want to just copy and paste it rather than type it out. Let's break down what this line means. Name represents the key on your keyboard that you want to press to activate the command. In this case, the key I have selected is F4. Command represents the name of the command. In this case, the name of the command is NTKillAll, which if you remember, kills all enemies on screen. Which means if I press F4 at any time, all the enemies will die instantly. Make sure to put quotation marks before and after the name and command keywords. The debug menu for Virgil functions identically to Dante's with one important distinction. You cannot access the debug room with Virgil. Well, the command is there to access it, but if you do select this command, not only will Virgil not spawn into the room, but all of your Virgil saves will be deleted. I repeat, all of your Virgil saves will be deleted. If you use this command, Virgil saves will be gone. With peace and love, don't be a stupid idiot and use the command. I'm warning you with peace and love. I hope this was helpful. I want to give a huge shout out to DHMalice, Siyan, Deep Dark Kapuska, XRA, RK, Halo Warrior 37, Dany Sterkhov, and Valor for diving in deep with the DmC modding. You guys are the real heroes. A massive shout out to DRon3 for being one of the first few people to discover the debug menu. I've been streaming DmC Devil May Cry every weekend on Twitch recently, so if you have any questions or want to stop by and say hi, feel free. I will also answer any questions in the comments below. Take care, and thanks for watching.